Meeting Brothers. Joseph, after being freed from prison, was appointed to the position of treasurer by the king, and also took charge of supervising the agricultural affairs in the country. Due to his wisdom and providence, at a time of famine and hardship, when there was not enough water in the Nile River for any kind of cultivation, people had enough grain to run a healthy life, and even more, which were stocked in storehouses. The neighboring countries, however, were struck terribly by the famine, and it was even spread over farther countries, such as Jerusalem and Canaan, where Jacob and his sons were living. Thinking of a way to provide some grains, Jacob called his sons and told them, "Now that the famine is a serious threat to our people, you shall attend to the presence of the wise minister of Egypt, whose fame and honor has been overspread everywhere, and ask him for help. But leave Benjamin with me, so that being apart from you won't make me depressed." When Joseph's brothers attended to his presence, he immediately recognized them, but they did not. One of them went forth and said, "We are 12 brothers, of whom one has stayed with our father, and one was lost years ago. Now we are here to buy some grains and save the family from the overspread of dire famine." Being aware of his father's and Benjamin's health, Joseph ordered to give them enough wheat and also put their money among the wheat bags secretly. When they were about to set out for Canaan, Joseph told them, "Next time you come into Egypt, take your brother with you, so that I can make sure you're honest in your words." They replied, "We shall hope to be able to convince our father and take our brother with us." When they described what had happened to their father, and when Jacob was informed that they wanted to take Benjamin with them, he initially refused and said, "No, if you take him with you, you may again neglect him, and he may have the same fate as his brother Joseph." When they were unloading the wheat bags, they found their money there, so they turned to their father and said, "Look how honorable and generous is the king of Egypt. He did not accept our money, so have no fear and send him with us, and we shall take good care of our little brother." Finally, when they promised to bring him back safe and sound, and after Jacob made them vow on it, he accepted to let them take Benjamin to Egypt. Joseph got extremely happy to see his brother Benjamin. He called him alone to his presence and introduced himself to Benjamin, but advised him strictly to keep it a secret and not to let anybody know about it. After the brothers were well received by Joseph, and when they were loading the wheat, Joseph ordered one of his servants to leave the gold measure with which they determined the wheat weight inside Benjamin's load, and while they were moving away, some of Joseph's servants ran after them and shouted, "Stop, you people of Canaan! You have rewarded our generosity with your evil deed. You forgot our nobles' benevolence and stole the gold measuring cup. You are nothing but thieves." Jacob's sons, being quite shocked and surprised, stopped and said, "We shall swear by God that we had no evil intention. We are no thieves." But the servants said, "But what shall be the requital of this, if you're liars?" "We are quite certain of our innocence. According to our laws, if one of us has stolen something, you may capture him and take him as a slave." The servants searched all their loads, and to the great astonishment of the brothers, found the gold measure among Benjamin's load. Joseph reproached them and said, "According to your own laws, we shall capture and take the dishonest brother of yours as our slave." They replied, "There is no wonder if you steal something, because he had a brother who had committed the act of stealing before." Hearing that, Joseph mumbled to himself, "You are much worse than him, and God is completely aware of what you say or do." The brothers started to beg Joseph for mercy and said, "You noble of Egypt, he has an old loving father who cannot tolerate his son's lust. Take one of us for him and relieve him." Joseph said, "We shall never capture an innocent man for a guilty thief, for then most surely we would be unjust. No, it is out of the question." Disappointed of saving Benjamin, they decided to return back to Canaan. But suddenly the elder brother said, "Have you forgotten that we have undertaken in God's name and promised to take Benjamin back sound and safe to our father? Therefore I will by no means depart from this land until my father permits me or Allah decides for me, and he is the best of the judges. You go and tell father that Benjamin has committed an act of stealing, and the king of Egypt has taken him as his slave. Tell him that everybody has witnessed this, and we are not lying." When they told the whole story to their father, he got very sad and thought it was another sample of their trickery, and that they were lying again, just as they had lied about Joseph. This again reminded him of Joseph's loss, and all that grief and sorrow returned back to him once again. So he said to them, "Go after Joseph and his brother, and never get disappointed from God and his blessings." This time, when the brothers attended to Joseph's presence shamefully, he addressed them, "Don't you know me? I'm your brother." They were greatly surprised and embarrassed. They lowered their heads in great shame and apologized for what they had done in the past. So Joseph told them, "Do not fear, for merciful God will forgive you. Now take this shirt of mine to our father, put it on his face, and he shall see again. You shall then come back all to me, and I will be expecting you here." The brothers took Joseph's shirt and set out for Canaan. When their caravan had just come out of Egypt gates, Jacob turned to people around him in Canaan and said, "If you don't call me foolish and empty-headed, I shall say that I can feel the smell of Joseph." Some of them replied, "By God, you are still making the same old mistake. It's impossible. He can't be alive. Set this thought out of your mind and be sure that there is no Joseph anymore." When the brothers arrived in Canaan, one of them rushed to the father. "Let him know of the great news," and laid Joseph's shirt on Jacob's face, and he could see once more. He felt to be revived and born again. Following this, Jacob and his family set out hurriedly for Egypt. They arrived in that land with a heartfelt enthusiasm for meeting their son after so many years. And when Jacob and his wife came in before Joseph, he hugged them hard and placed them on his own special days. At that time, Joseph's father, mother, and brothers knelt down before him and prostrated to thank God for finding him. Joseph said, "Dear father, this is the interpretation of the dream I had in my childhood. My God has made it come true. He has shown me a great deal of kindness and affection these years. He freed me from prison and rendered me the authority to take charge of the agricultural affairs in this land, as well as the treasure and storehouses. My God is the one who brought you back to me after all those years of separation. These are all blessings the unique God has shown to you and me."